There we
There
go.
we go. We're live. It's Thursday. It's 9 o'clock on the East Coast. That means it's time for this week of Gear Report, the show where we typically are going to cover everything that's been published on the wide variety of Gear-Report.com channels. I got to tell you, if things look different in the background here today, it's because I'm on the road. So next weekend, I will be traveling for Gear-Report firearms that I kind of see on the screen right now. If you're watching a video, if you're listening to a podcast, just imagine the Gear-Report firearms logo up on the screen.
Awesome.
This weekend, I'm on a trip for the Gear-Report swimming channel, doing a big swim meet in Goldsboro, the home of Seymour Johnson Air Force Base. So there we go. Aim high, people. And so that's what's happening here on this end. I'm Jeff. I'll be your tour guide this evening. I am the usually I go by El Jefe, but I'm on a different camera tonight, so it just says Jeff on mine. But so let's see. That's me. I'm Jeff, and I put something up here for Gear Report. I'm not sure what motivated me to do that. We'll go, TJ. You can introduce yourself, and then we'll let Scott's the new guy on the screen. We'll let him talk about himself. Then we'll wrap up with Komar, if that's all right with you guys.
Yeah. Hi, I'm TJ. There you go, Jeff.
You're a smart ass, TJ. TJ is the director of snacks and beverages here at Gear Report, and also the overlord of the firearms review. I don't want to call it a fiefdom because it's bigger than that. I'm not sure I want to call it an empire just yet. I don't know what's in between.
Working on it. Slowly becoming an empire.
Yeah. I should, let me see. There we go. Firearms Gear Report. That's what we're talking about right now. Okay. All right. So I'd like to now welcome the guy down here, Scott. Welcome to the program. If you tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you. My name is Scott Thompson. I'm here on behalf of Right to Bear Legal Defense. I'm a 20-year veteran of law enforcement, retired last October, and now I do Right to Bear and do some gun training full time.
Excellent. All right, we're going to come back and talk about that in gratuitous detail. But first, if we can talk about this guy down here, Komar, welcome back to the program. If you'd like to give us your brief bio. Yes.
Absolutely. Komar, a longtime firearms enthusiast, instructor, manufacturer, and sometimes contributor to Gear Report. Here to talk about what's going on.
Yeah, that's a lot. How do you make time for all that?
I don't sleep.
All right.
Hey, who needs sleep?
Okay.
Yeah, I'll get plenty of sleep when I'm dead.
That's what I keep telling people. Yeah.
Yep.
So about me, not about you. I don't refer to your death because that would be weird. So before we dig in and talk about Right to Bear, our typical agenda for this program is, number one, we talk about reviews that have been published since the last show, because this is our opportunity for the Gear Report contributors to come on and talk about everything they published. But we're going to skip that this time. After we talk about Right to Bear, we may come back and just highlight some of the things that have been published so that people know where to find it if they'd like to read more. But we don't want to go too far off the rails. The other thing we do is talk about things that are upcoming. We're going to get to that after the Right to Bear segment as well. And then the final segment, the most popular segment, the segment that brings people back week after week, month after month, dare I say year after year, because we have been at this for a few years now.
Yeah, a couple of years
TJ's
now.
Happy Hour. And I think that when we have brands on, when the interviews go best is when we just intersperse TJ's Happy Hour throughout the interview to spice things up. So TJ, just be ready to go to jump in and spice things up.
I'm ready. I've got them stacked up over here. I'm good to go.
Yeah, I'm actually in a rare because I'm at my parents' house and they actually have booze here. I don't keep booze in my house because then I drink.
Well, you're at your
parents'
house.
Never get anything
you
done.
need some booze if you're at your parents' house. I'm throwing it out there.
Yeah. Well, I'm hitting it tonight. So the show's going to be
Attaboy.
spicy here in a bit. I just started, so it'll take a little while to kick in, and then woo, things are going to be good. We'll get a
We
real
got some
woo out of
people.
it then.
You want to say hi to everybody in the chat first?
Yeah, you want to run bringing the chat up so we're not.
Yeah. We got
We developed a habit of I'll put something on the screen right after TJ
of course.
puts
Hold on, we
something
got
else, so you can
Gizzard
run that.
Gary with the Gizzard's spreading out his love with the yo, and then his trademark. He pulled a snob.
That
You only
bastard. Yeah.
I know you only get one yo from the snob apparently. And all our favorite woman. Hold on, Mystic, love you.
For the
Mystic, the show again.
3
Yes,
goes is the customary
this
greeting.
show again, Mystic.
I'm happy.
Yeah, everybody being nice out there.
All right, that's good. We like when people are nice. Sorry, I know I said you were going to put stuff on the screen, and then I clicked and put something on the screen, and then you keep taking it off. TJ, come on. All right, there we go. Oh, nope, that's the wrong one now.
Yep. I see. I'm not
my childhood bedroom. My parents got rid of me, and then they moved to a better house. So this is my mother's office. Here is where I am right now. So
she's a Prince fan.
Apparently, yeah. It's actually more of a light blue, but it's kind of dark in here, so it looks purple.
You can
which is
call
cool
it
because it
feels
more festive this way. So whatever. I don't care. I am pretty. I'm secure in who I am.
See.
Okay. So let's get down to business here.
All right, let's do it.
We brought Scott in for a reason, and this has probably been over a year in the making. Perry and I talked last year. Hey man, we got to get Right to Bear on the show and talk about it, and we almost had it scheduled, and we had a few scheduling snafus in a row before we finally just kind of gave up. And then we reconnected at SHOT Show and said, hey, when are we going to do this? And he said, it's a good thing we didn't do it because we changed things pretty dramatically. So that really sparked my interest. It sparked my interest because, number one, he didn't tell me what changed. It was kind of late in SHOT Show. And honestly,
that's why
I'm not saying Perry had been drinking the night before because I have no idea. But he definitely looked like he'd been through the ringer when we were talking. And I said, you know what? I don't think I want to push him for any answers right now. We'll just get him on the show and we'll talk about it. And then he let me know earlier today that we were getting upgraded. Instead of having to tolerate having Perry with us, we're going to get the upgrade, the new and improved version. So that's why Scott's here with us. So would you like to give us an overview? What is Right to Bear? Where did it come from? Where's it going? All that kind of stuff, and we'll start breaking it apart into little pieces and make it digestible for everyone.
Absolutely. So Right to Bear Legal Defense is a self-defense legal plan that provides an attorney for you start to finish on any criminal or civil action that stems from your use of force, whether it's with a firearm or any other weapon. Some programs out there only limit you to use of firearm, but we understand that you might not always have a firearm with you, or you might not be able to get it depending on your situation, and you still may have to defend yourself. So we do provide that start to finish on any criminal and civil action. And so the big change, it used to be a tiered system where you had to pick your levels and there was, different tiers, different payments. And about a year ago, they said, you know what, let's just make this simple for everybody. Let's give them one price that'll give them everything. So they came up with that price. It's $11 a month or $125 a year. When I say start to finish, that's start to finish. If you have an incident, obviously, when it's safe to do so, you can call 911 and then be careful what you say there. That is a recorded line. I feel a whole lot easier saying that now that I'm retired from law enforcement. But that is a recorded line. So be careful what you say, and then hang up, call the emergency hotline. You'll be talking to the attorney, and the attorney can explain to you kind of what to say and, more importantly, what not to say when law enforcement arrives. Because that's a traumatic situation. If anyone's ever been through a shooting, or even if they didn't have to shoot, but they had to pull the gun out because they were robbed or something, it's traumatic. And people start to say things just rambling on. So they'll tell them what to say and what not to say. We also then, understanding that this is something that not everybody covers, understanding that people who've been through this might want to talk to a psychiatrist or a therapist of some sort. As part of our base plan, we'll pay for psychological support after your incident. We pay for an expert witness. If your gun is confiscated by law enforcement, we're going to replace that gun up to a certain amount with a like size and style gun. And that covers you in your state for that $125 a year or $11 a month. And then if you do travel outside your state frequently, you can add on 50 state protection, which will cover you in all 50 states. You can add on bail bond coverage, which will cover up to $10,000 of $100,000 bond. And what's important there is because you have an attorney right away, that attorney can start working on getting a bail reduced amount. So they can get that reduced below that 100,000 and get that paid so you can get out and you don't have to spend too much time in jail. And then also we for a secondary member, if you sign up for the annual with a secondary member, theirs is only going to be $120 or excuse me, $105 for the year. So we give them a $20 break on the price. And we have minor coverage, and we're not suggesting that you hand your guns to your 10-year-old and tell them to hold down the fort. But again, this program covers any legal weapon. So kids are being bullied at school. They're being bullied on the playground. If they get into a fight, they could end up going to jail. And if they throw a good right hook and they break the jaw or the nose of the bully, you're probably going to get sued. For $24 for the year, that's going to cover you for all the kids that live with you full or part-time. So it's a great program.
Right.
We're on a growth pattern right now. We kind of slowed down when we were switching the plan. We kind of went into a slowdown mode, knowing that we were going to revamp it. And now we're ramping up, and we're out there actively sharing our message with as many people as we can.
Well, that's interesting, and I'll tell you that. Excuse me. I'm happy to hear about the changes because number one, the big bit of heartburn that I had early on was that as a legal insurance product, there were some limitations on how people could be defended. Like if this is a discussion that I had with Perry, and I think when he was on with CloverTech for an interview last year, it really sounded like if you lose a case at the local level, like you wouldn't be covered to appeal, even if it was like clearly wrong, and he said that was the limitation of it being insurance, that, once you're found guilty, like with insurance, you can't defend someone anymore. So switching away from that to a different type of coverage sounds like it has worked around that. Is that correct?
Yes. And here's where that can also, because there is still other programs out there that are insurance. And here's where that can, other than just the not being able to appeal for you, but because you can't insure an illegal act, a lot of times what the states will say is that that company can't now pay if you're found guilty or if you plead guilty to a lesser charge. So now you have to pay back all that money. And in 20 years in law enforcement, one of the things I noticed is a lot of times someone gets arrested for a charge. It's a felony. It's a high level. And then the state will come to them and say, hey, instead of 15 years in prison, we'll give you this misdemeanor charge, credit time served, pay $1,000 fine. That might be in your best interest. But if your plan has already paid out $70,000 to an attorney, you now have to figure out, can I afford this? And Right to Bear doesn't want anyone to have to worry about the dollars. What's best for you and your family? How are you going to get out of this situation and be as whole as possible? And if taking a plea deal is the best thing for you, we don't want you to worry about having to pay back money and potentially putting yourself at the risk of a jury that could send you to prison for 15 years. So it's much, much better this way.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm glad we waited to do this interview because I had some real trouble getting behind the scope of the offering before. And the big concern that gave me pause before has, it sounds like 100% been addressed. So that's really good. And that's a relief to me, because I was like, man, this could be awkward if it's still the way that it was when I didn't like it. But it sounds like, you heard from the people who had some issues and said, okay, we got to think of a new way to structure this, is what it looks like.
And I'm glad I didn't bring any awkwardness tonight then.
Oh, no, that's my job.
We do that ourselves. It's fine.
Yeah. Self-serve awkwardness here.
Yes.
Good.
And then, Jeff, I didn't get from Perry earlier, but what is your promo code?
That's a good question. I believe it's just Gear Report, but I would have to go dig through emails. I'm not sure if it's still active, actually. It's been probably a year or more since that was created.
I'm going to check with him real quick if he can get that for me, because it'd be a great thing to let your people know that if they go to protectwithbear.com and use your code, they'll get 10% off. So that's an important thing. Let me try to get that for you before you kick me off.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. Yeah, I had completely forgotten.
You get all kinds of time before we do that. It's fine.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. All right, but that was
we got to make it awkward first.
Yeah.
It was such a succinct description. So I'll tell you what comes to mind to me for a service like this is, I don't know if case studies is the right word, but if you have any examples of, like, here's something that happened. I don't know what you're allowed to talk about or not, but it might help illustrate to people, where there could be value for them.
Well, and I'm going to stray away from our members right now for just a second, because there was a really high profile case that just occurred in Tacoma, Washington. Sean Kemp. I don't know if any of you remember that name. He was in the NBA back in the 90s. He was a superstar with the Seattle Supersonics before they moved to Oklahoma City. And he was last week, Tuesday night, I believe it was. Before I go to bed, I see an article. Sean Kemp has been arrested for being involved in a drive-by shooting. And it was real scant details. All it really said was that he was involved in a drive-by shooting. The call came in at 2:00. He was booked in at 3:00. And before I went to bed, my first thought was, that's pretty quick. To have a major crime like a drive-by shooting call come in at 2:00 and have somebody in custody and booked in at 3:00 leads me to believe that there was a rush to judgment, or there was not a full investigation done. And I don't know what Sean Kemp said at the scene, but it sounds like he did the right thing and didn't say anything till he spoke to his attorney. But he got booked in within an hour. He spent the night in jail. The next morning, I wake up and I was going to get ready to do a video for it for the Right to Bear YouTube channel. And I see an article that the prosecutor has already dropped all the charges against Sean Kemp. And it's because his attorney, the next morning, his attorney went to the prosecutor and said, here's what happened. Sean Kemp, a few days prior, had his car broken into. He had jewelry, money, his cell phone taken. Well, he had Find My iPhone on his phone. He tracked his phone to a parking lot at a mall. And when he went there, he walked up to the car, demanding his stuff back. They pulled out a gun and started shooting at him. He pulled out his gun and returned fire in self-defense. I mean, at this point, he's maybe confronting them isn't the smartest thing, but just because it's not what you or I might have done doesn't mean it's necessarily wrong or illegal. So the minute someone starts shooting at you, if you shoot back, that's self-defense. Immediately the state dropped charges. And that highlights how important it is to not give a statement right away. When you're under stress, you don't say things the right way. And I think, when I teach my classes, I ask people, how many of you people, if you've been emotional, scared, or nervous, have ever said something you regret later? And I make sure every man's hand goes up, because that's why they invented outs, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and so he did it the right way. Now, you'll take the ride, but he beat the rap. Because at the end of the day, if law enforcement has probable cause, that's a low threshold. The next level in court is proof beyond a reasonable doubt. And there's a lot of room in between here. And that's where his attorneys were able to do that and get the charges dropped immediately. So I think I'm using that now as kind of a highlight of how important it is. Now, here's someone who has enough money to hire an attorney. He probably has attorneys on retainer that cost him a lot more than $125 a year. But for those of us who don't have that benefit, $125, $11 a month, that's one fast food meal a month that you don't have. That makes sure you have an attorney. And what's great too is, and you guys probably see this a lot in what you do, is people will tell you things that, oh, did you know you can do this with your guns? And a lot of times what they say is completely wrong.
Oh, yeah.
And they heard it from a friend who heard it from a friend who heard it from a cop, which is the worst place to get that kind of information. But so with Right to Bear, we also have a non-emergency line. So if you get that, hey, someone told me I can do this, don't risk it. Don't go to jail because of someone said something. Call the non-emergency number Monday through Friday, non-holidays, and get legal advice. You can ask your question. They'll get it to an attorney. The attorney will either call you back or send you an email and take care of it so that you'll be more prepared in situations. The more knowledge you have, the more likely you'd be able to get out of having to defend yourself potentially. And certainly the more likely you are to get out of doing the wrong thing. Oh, and your promo code for your listeners is GEAR10. Gear and then the number 10.
All right.
Yep.
I'm going to create a new banner with that. Promo code G.
I'm writing it down too.
And a point of trivia, you mentioned earlier at the very beginning of talking about this, that the 911 calls are all recorded. I'm pretty sure that's universal.
Yes.
I don't know if it's universal, but I know that in a lot of cases that recording starts when you dial that second one. So while you're listening to it ring, it's being recorded prior to answering.
Here's something I can say confidently now that I'm retired. If you're on the phone with law enforcement and it's ringing or you're being put on hold, there's a good possibility that it's either being recorded or listened to. Not always, but it's there. That was something that I used greatly in my career. So yes, it can be done.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's see. I want to grab the URL here and put it in the comments here. So we're all over the place. That should pop up on the YouTube channels, on the Twitch, on the Facebook, and then
we're all over the interwebs.
I honestly don't know. So now I have a real question. Rumble takes your YouTube feed overnight and spawns it over on Rumble. I doubt it takes a comment, so it may not be in there. I'm gonna have to remember to go back and put it in the what's it called?
I mean, you've got it up on the screen right now.
The YouTube description, so it'll be spawned. Yeah. Well, that's
I respond?
the promo code I'm talking about. The URL. Yes.
Can I respond to Defense Dad in the comments? He had a question about he's a Law Shield member and why he would switch. And first off, I'm glad you have something. U.S. Law Shield is a decent program. They're a good program. A couple reasons to switch is Right to Bear is a little bit cheaper. I think the last time I checked, they're about 130 something, and Right to Bear is 125. They also charge you more for expert witness. You have to buy the expert witness and bail bond to get coverage with U.S. Law Shield, so you have to pay more. It's $35 a year. They do not offer psychological support. They do not offer the gun confiscation replacement. So those are a few benefits that you would get with Right to Bear that you don't get with U.S. Law Shield. And again, I think Law Shield, I'm glad you have something. Everyone should have something. Yeah. Obviously, I prefer the one that I work with. I've looked at all of them, and I really chose Right to Bear. There was a time where I was affiliated with U.S. Law Shield, And I switched over to Right to Bear because I think it's a more robust program, more affordable. And I just like the little benefits that it adds that you don't have to pay for. I hope that answers your question, Defense Dad.
I'm sure it does.
Okay, TJ, if you want to drive things for a minute, I just got an indication that my laptop is not plugged in. I'm going to troubleshoot that, and you guys can continue. I'm going to.
And he's gone.
He'll be back.
I know. Unfortunately, he always comes back. Yeah, that's awesome. So I'm trying to drum up. I'm trying to think of questions while you're talking about everything.
Yeah. Do you have any recent success stories that you can share to any degree? I'm sure details are confidential and all that, but
yeah. And so success stories. So here's the fun thing about success. I talked to an attorney once before, and I said, "What is successful?" Because a lot of people look at wins and losses.
Where everybody's equally unhappy, right?
Right. Yeah. Right. But it's not always. I mean, what might be a success might still be a conviction or a pleading of guilty.
I get it.
I don't live on that side of the field, so I don't have anything up to date from Right to Bear. We did have a member. I don't know how much I can go into, who was attacked in a, let's just say, rather gun unfriendly state, and did not have a gun because of that unfriendliness. He used another weapon to defend himself against somebody who unprovoked attacked him. And what really helped him was having law enforcement, when they were there, saying, "I'm on the phone with my attorney. As soon as I have time to talk to them, I can give you a statement." And that put things in a whole different look, because law enforcement, typically they're taking charge. But when you have the attorney, it takes it back. And again, I can talk about this because I'm retired now. Many, many years ago, 15 years ago, I remember one of my coworkers was investigating someone for a serious crime, and he came out of the office and he said to the lieutenant, he just asked for an attorney. What do we do now? And the attorney said, the lieutenant said, I don't know. I guess we'll just let him go home and we'll try to figure it out later. And just the fact of, hey, he's not giving us any more. He wants his attorney. He went home. And a couple of days later, he called back and had an appointment with his attorney and never went to jail. So just having that phone call saved our member in that gun unfriendly state. So that was a win for him that never even got to an arrest situation.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I like to live in the gun-friendly states. We've got some fantastic sheriffs over here, and Wayne Ivey and those guys. I mean, they're great. They're like, "All right, good job. Go to bed."
And recently, you saw Grady Judd say, if you break into a house, just assume you're going to get shot because we all have guns and we're going to shoot you. And it's interesting that he said that because I was watching an interview that Jon Stewart was doing, and he's anti-gun.
I saw.
You saw it with the state senator, from Oklahoma. So one of the things he said in there is police all agree, and he says police all agree that there should be gun registration, there should be more background checks, there should be, and what he's really saying is police in democratic cities think this, but you come to Florida and the police don't think that way, except for a few of them, but most of them are, hey, mess with us and we're going to shoot you. Florida is the gunshine state for a reason.
I know. Well, I mean, the sheriffs. I mean, I hope Ivy hangs on for a long time, man. Yep.
He's a good one.
Yep. You're back, Jeff. What's up, buddy?
Oh, I've been back. I figured out that the power strip I plugged my laptop into for the program has individual switches for each outlet. What I was on wasn't turned on. So I'd been plugged in for an hour thinking it was charging, and it was almost dead. So, yeah.
Bougie power strips. That's what you get for getting the fan.
My incompetence it's nearly got the best of me this evening.
It usually does.
Yeah.
And defense that, I'm glad I answered that question for you. I think you should highly look into it, and make the decision that's best for you and your family. But I will say I'm glad you have something, and Right to Bear will be better than what you have.
There you go. I like
And
it.
if you use the promo code, you get 10% off. Gear10 at protectwithbear.com.
Still, the code's still up there. Just gonna leave it up the whole time.
Excellent.
Well, actually, I'm not. I'm working on a new banner that I'm about to put up there.
Oh, geez.
You know what? I'm going to combine them. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to combine two banners. Let me do this.
We get Jeff in all his glory, all his technological glory right here.
With his laptop that's plugged in now.
Yeah, it's actually charging.
Yeah.
Now. It's fantastic. Yeah. I'm the low tech guy. Like if anything ever goes wrong with it, I'm just unplugging everything and restarting it. That's the level of my tech ability.
There you go.
There we go. So now we have the Gear Report
Fancy.
affiliate link and then the promo code to go with it. So,
Yep. Perfect.
They're getting snazzy. Getting hyped over here.
There you go, Jeff.
Well, that's cool. What I did want to point out, let me bring the other screen back up here. And, did I click the wrong thing? Add to stream.
Probably.
There we go. Yeah. Yep, I did everyone a favor and I put me behind the little banner so that
I know the show's gonna be
anymore here.
It's gonna be so much better now.
Yeah. If we had Nielsen ratings, our Nielsen ratings would go up on that.
Oh,
I wanted to show, and I believe I shared the link to this a little while ago. Yes, the blogs for Right to Bear. So there's some interesting articles there. I hadn't read this one yet that says the all-new ATF stabilizing brace rule and you, but I bet that's an interesting one because
it sounds interesting.
It is. And that blog was written pretty quickly after the ATF published the rule and had their little phone call to explain everything, which was really like putting a motor in muddy water and just churning it up pretty good.
right.
So that's a good read.
It clarified nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I think was probably their intent. And
yes.
I've come to the conclusion a while ago, but especially after the bump stock fiasco finally being struck down, to see them immediately follow up with their new pistol brace interpretations, it's like, okay, you just did pretty much exactly the same thing that just got smacked down. That tells me bureaucrats, they may be douchebags, but they're not necessarily stupid. They're doing it for a reason. They know it's going to get struck down, but they're doing it for a reason. And I think that one of the big reasons, there are a couple big reasons. One is to refocus people's attention. This is a diversion because they have other things going on. I think that it is also, and I know from some discussions with different brands very recently, it is putting a hurting on some brands, and there are likely going to be some brands that don't survive this. And sadly, I believe the Biden administration has weaponized the ATF specifically with a goal of a war of attrition on some of the manufacturers and different gun companies out there, which I doubt. I doubt the blog digs into that kind of thing. I just kind of got on my soapbox.
We do that here.
So,
well, and one thing that some people don't think about, because I talk to a lot of people on a daily basis, and not all of them are gun people, and so some people don't care. They don't care about this pistol brace rule until I point out to them that could this affect you later? What if 10 years from now the federal government says, hey, you know what? We don't want gas-powered motor vehicles on the road anymore. So we're going to make them illegal, and you can't use them anymore. That now comes, it's such a slippery slope, and I know everyone on the left hates to hear the word slippery slope, but they're the ones watering the mud. So we've got to think about the future. We can't just think about right now and how it just affects gun owners, and you're not a gun owner, you don't care. Look what they're doing in New York. They're starting to pass laws about gas stoves. And at some point, they can say, oh, well, you get to keep the ones you have. But if the gas company can't sell gas to your building anymore, what good is your gas stove going to be? So it's really a slippery slope of politics where we can't do it through law and we can't do it through the popular vote. You know, people wouldn't go for this in mass, especially with the gas stoves. We're just going to do it through whatever channels we can, even though we know that at some point it's going to get struck down. It kind of scares me that the government doesn't care anymore. My opinion, not right to bear.
Yep. I mean, just like with the bump stocks, right? A number of people that I talked to during that whole process were like, "Oh, I don't care. I think a bump stock is dumb, whatever." But it was just, the step in the next evolution was the pistol brace. It was a perfect actual example that actually happened. And like you said, the gas stoves, like it's wild. It's not just a Second Amendment culture issue,
right? And really, I mean, Biden said, "Come hell or high water." Excuse me, President Biden said, "Come hell or high water." He's going to get an assault ban, and he's going to get a high capacity magazine ban. If he doesn't get that through Congress, what's going to stop the ATF from coming up with an interpretation somewhere that more than 10 rounds becomes something that's now regulated by them and it's legal? It's unfortunate when people just aren't aware of how things are working.
Sure.
I mean, I can see them redefining a machine gun to say that the magazine automatically loading the chamber again, right? So semi-automatic becomes machine gun, right? All right, cool. If we're going to redefine words, why not?
Yep. And one thing I always challenge people, and you guys can maybe use this, when someone talks about school shootings, and school shootings are horrible, I wish they never happened, but it's not the gun that did it. We have to find the reason why kids are going to school with the intent of shooting people. But the largest school fatality event in the United States didn't include a gun, and that's what we'll head back to. The largest was back in, I think, the 60s, and it was bombs. It was somebody blew up the school while kids and people were in it. How much you look at some of these events? How much worse would it have been if kids bring a bomb in a backpack and put it underneath the bleachers during an assembly? The Boston bombing, how hard would it be for a kid to do that? In this day and age, guns are, let's be honest, highly inefficient. You look at like the guy in Las Vegas, he shot 2,000 rounds, and it's unfortunate that anyone died, but he shot 2,000 rounds to kill the people that were killed. That's a very inefficient weapon. With a bomb or something else, that could have been much, much worse. So the guns aren't the thing. It's why are people up here wanting to hurt other people? And there's a mental health issue that we need to get to the bottom of.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's to steal one of Biden's press secretary's favorite phrase. Let's circle back to the ATF.
I love it.
Pistol brace reinterpretation. I'm sure you guys have had lengthy meetings about, okay, if nothing changes when the 120 days expires and all these people become felons, are we able to help any of them, some of them, some in some cases, all of them to a limited amount? Like, can you share anything about how you guys are planning on dealing with that? Should it stand?
Well, here's what we can do. We can offer legal advice because unfortunately the possession of our program and all of the programs out there, we've kind of independently kind of polled all of the companies. All of the companies are self-defense programs. So it has to be a self-defense situation. So just a possession of, but what we can do is we can provide individual legal advice for your situation. Which will hopefully be better than the ATF saying, put the gun in your sock drawer and put the brace in your underwear drawer, which is what they actually said on that call. Our legal advice will hopefully be a lot more in depth, and we can, we're preparing to have to do that for any of our members.
Yeah.
I like that they said that. If for no other reason, they like to talk about constructive intent with other class 3 items, like silencer parts, so that they would instruct people to put parts. If we're talking about silencer and silencer parts, then what they told people to do would be constructive intent. So now they're giving an example with a similarly classified item in their interpretation,
right?
And giving that guidance that should help deconstruct and constructive intent moving forward when it comes to other times when they like to point that out.
I hope so.
Yeah. So they're going to say that if I own a tube, that one day may be a suppressor, that's a problem. But if I own an AR pistol and a pistol brace sitting next to one another, that's not a problem, because that's not potentially a thing. But this tube that needs millwork and threading and baffles and all that is what it will be. Yeah.
Inconsistency.
Yeah. And I assume when he says trash argument, he's referring to the ATF's argument, in which case I agree with you, Hero P. Newton. And thanks. That's the first time I've seen that name in the comments. Always nice. Scott, you're bringing new people to the program for us. We appreciate that. All right. Anything else we need to cover for people to understand all of what you offer there at Right to Bear?
No, the only other thing that I'd like to point out is with our program, and a lot of programs are similar to this. We're not the only ones with this, but we're not going to lock you in to your contract. If you sign up with Right to Bear and you decide that, hey, you know what, down the line, this isn't something you want to do, you can cancel, and they'll refund your unused portion. Most places will do that. So if you do have another program, then you can, like Defense Dad, you've got US Law Shield. If you wanted to, you could cancel theirs, get the prorated refund, and apply that towards your Right to Bear membership. But likewise, if you decide Right to Bear is something that you don't want or can't afford anymore, they're gonna, they'll refund your unused portion.
All right. Good to know. Good to hear. Are you? I know Perry typically goes to the gathering event that the Palmetto State Armory hosts that's coming up next weekend. Are you guys going to be there?
I know Perry, they're going to be there. I don't know if I'm going to be up there. I'm looking into it to see if I can get up there.
Yeah. If you do find yourself there, definitely track us down and say hi.
I certainly will.
And I don't know. I certainly wanted to bring it up that we do have that event next week, because I don't know if we're going to be able to broadcast. Last year, we attempted to broadcast live from the Clinton House, the facility there, and part of it ran smoothly, and part of it was Robotsville. It was I think it had to be really rough to try to watch that, because the broadcast did not work very smoothly. So I'm not sure if we're going to try that. If we do, it'll probably be a pretty brief show where we hop on, and if we do it, it'll probably be because we found some cool people like Scott or Perry or some other folks from the other brands that we want to get together and say something while we're all together live. So definitely, folks, I may go ahead and schedule it, and then it may never go live, or it may, just depending on what kind of connectivity we get. So I'll go ahead and get that warning for next week.
You can just sit there and wait.
All week.
All week.
You know the stream is going to fire up eventually. Sure, it may be 7 days later, but eventually the stream will pick up, and you will have another show to watch.
I might have something. I might have something to put in for publishing by then. It'd be fantastic.
Yeah, that'd be good. We're on episode 153 now, so yeah, next week, the week after, we will have episode 154. Which one? Who knows? It's hard to say. Komar, you're going to drive down for that?
Who knows, man? Anything can happen. Anything can happen. Unlikely.
Want to drive to Central North Carolina? If you want to drive to Central North Carolina and then ride with me, let me know. we could work that out, because I'm going to be headed down there. So
I'm heading up, driving. Yay!
If I go, I'll be driving from further south.
Yep.
Yay!
It's not a bad drive.
No.
I get a bunch of stogies. I'm ready to go. Head on up that way.
All right, so I'm watching the clock here. We're at the point where let's shift gears, and we're going to talk real quick about recent reviews. If anyone, I haven't seen many comments. We did have a few questions out there pertaining to Right to Bear. If you have any others, feel free to leave them in the comments, and we'll circle back to those. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. But
we will get back to you.
Yeah,
that's
but we
difference.
Actually will. We won't.
Yeah, we will
just make up crap.
Camping! Yay!
I know. So we from the Camping Gear Report side of the house, we have a review from Ryan. I got to tell you, Ryan is our new superstar in terms of being an editor's dream. He, the only thing I changed in this article was he is old school and puts 2 spaces after a period. That drives me nuts. So I went and deleted 1 space after every period. That's it. No grammar corrections, no spelling corrections.
I'm gonna start doing that.
Fix. You dude, I'm just gonna wholesale delete your articles. You can type those bitches over. The Alps Mountaineering Hex 2 is a trekking pole tent. And TJ, of course, you know what that means. I'll let you describe what a trekking pole tent is.
It's a tent that uses trekking poles.
Who says he's just a pretty face?
See?
Yeah, it is actually.
I am knowledgeable about all camping stuff.
Instead of having some sort of poles built into the tent that ship with the tent, you use your walking sticks, your trekking poles, as part of the support structure for the tent. This is a kind of a budget brand, and Ryan has been using it for a while. He's going to take it on a trek to Philmont Scout Ranch next summer. He's one of the adults taking a crew of youth out there for that. So he wrote this up to share with folks who may be interested. He gave this a whopping 4.5 out of 5 years.
Ooh. That's
pretty extreme. And we've talked about, listen, we've never given a perfect 5. It's got to be like fantastic if you're going to give it over a 4. So clearly he really likes this tent. If that is potentially of interest to you, I highly encourage you to go read that article. Moving on, I will once again mention that we do podcasting as well. This program and then the other program that we do once a month, supporting the Philmont Scout Ranch for the Boy Scouts of America. I run the Philmont Trek Talk group on Facebook, where we do everything we can to help people get educated and informed and have all the right information and all the right gear to have a great backcountry wilderness backpacking trek at Philmont Scout Ranch. Our latest Q&A was this past Tuesday, just 2 nights ago, and it is already up and available in podcast form all over the interwebs, as well as, but I'm telling you, look, all you got to do is push this little button here. We talked about cleanliness in the backcountry hygiene, and that's why you see the little Linus from Peanuts. We didn't license that graphic, so hopefully we don't get in trouble for it. But anyhow, you can go listen to that. It's about an hour and 24 minutes and 36 seconds, roughly, just in the neighborhood of that. If you care to hear about how to keep yourself clean when you're backpacking, because that's important. And this one, I got to pull my inner exhibitionist out for this article for the Swimming Gear Report side of the house. That is me, and as far as you know, I have swim trunks on just outside of the frame there. But that is me underwater, modeling a custom pair of goggles from the Magic 5, because I went and visited their their customization facility in Charlotte, North Carolina, weekend before last, when I was in Charlotte for a big swim meet for one of my youngins. So this article talks about some of the things that I found there, and then you'll have a 12 and a half minute or so video interview at their facility, plus showing their little robots customizing goggles. And I got to be honest, man, who doesn't want to see robots customizing goggles or anything for that matter? I mean, it's not like R2-D2 or anything, but it's still pretty cool. So definitely, if that is interesting to you, if you want to know why my face looks like that, you're gonna have to go watch the video. That's all I got to say.
Okay.
But
all right.
But it was really cool. They do a lot of 3D printing thing, a lot of robot controlled custom cutting, face scanning.
I was wondering what kind of swim cap that was.
Shut up. Let's see. No longer have hair on my head swim cap. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So there we go. Those are the 3 things that have been published since our show last week, which if you missed that, we had Deadfoot Arms on to talk about their new.
That was a good one.
Their new uppers that look surprisingly like an MP5.
Yes.
Really, really super cool. So go check that one out if you missed that show. It's available in the webcast video on, let's see, that's going to be on YouTube, on the Gear Report Firearms channel. It's out on Rumble now. It's all over the place.
Everywhere.
If you missed part of this show, you can go watch it in replay as well. So that is everything that has been done. As far as what I have coming, I'm not even sure. I got to get through this 3 more days of this trip and get back to the house and then get ready to go to the gatherings. I'm not sure if I'm going to publish anything. I've got a variety of things to do. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you a preview of something right here, live and in the flesh.
Oh, geez.
Man, I said live. I actually turned it on by accident. This is from Emelent. I had not heard of Emelent before. This is an EDC flashlight. They call it the LD70 Mini EDC. It's a really snazzy looking aluminum flashlight. This one is in olive green, your military looking color. It'll do, 20 lumens, 200 lumens. I'm cycling through them here. Oh my goodness. All right. Should have looked at that. It'll also do 4,000 lumens, 2,200, 2,000. And if you double tap it, it goes 4,000. Don't look at it when you do that. Trust me. I'm learning things the hard way here. Benefit from my mistakes. It's a pretty cool, and it's a pretty cool little light, and it has a little magnetic charging port that, which side's the camera on here? Oh, there it is. Yeah, you see the 2 little dots there? That is your magnetic charging cable connection. And I absolutely love any kind of light that has a magnetic charging connection because you don't have to worry about breaking the plug. So there you go. That's something that I shot an intro video on this. I don't know when I'm going to get to edit it, but that may be coming in the next week or so. TJ,
maybe.
Do you want to give us an update? I have been hanging by a thread waiting to hear how Duty Coat works. Have you started painting your 8.6?
No, I've got my booth set up. So I had to find the Velcro. They have a Velcro, like a strip where you can make like walls and unzip it and zip it back in. So I've got that. Nice. I've got that set up. So I'm getting everything cleaned out and getting everything over there. So it's close. It took me a while. I had to make room in the garage. My garage is a S box. It's full of crap.
Your garage looks nice compared to my garage. Let's just leave it at that. Because I'm a hot mess.
You are. Well, you have like a ton of Humvee parts and stuff in there too, though. So I have nothing but junk, and I've got a little corner for my tools. That's all I got. So I had to move a bunch of junk to get a little corner space because I can't block my tools. I may need.
And it's gonna be worth it when you get to custom paint without having to bake the paint on using your new. I'm just
tired of.
It's gonna be awesome.
Like I said, I had Cerakote people and they were okay, and then the last barrel they did, when I had to sand the freaking barrel to get the gas block on, I was so pissed. I was like, I said I paid $125 for this, and now I got to sand this to get this on. I was like, oh, are you kidding me? And it was a war-torn look. I mean, it was okay.
That's bad. No, that's bad.
Oh, I know.
That's bad.
You tell me. So that's why I was like,
when you guys mentioned, you know who I am?
Dude, I did. And they went, we don't care. They subbed it out to somebody else. They have. So I was like, okay, whatever.
There you go.
Yeah. So I've got that. So I've got the booth set up. So hopefully next week, before I go up to the gathering, I can at least spray a test spray one of my handguards that I have laying around or something like that. And then
the
I've got
booth isn't portable, is it?
What's that?
The booth isn't
the what now?
portable, is it? The booth.
No, it's plastic with 2x4 set up. So
okay. I was going to say bring it with you.
Let me borrow your tent. Let me borrow your personal shower tent, and we can use that. Yeah, let's. I can bring my compressor, my hose, my sprayer, all that crap up there now.
Do it. Do it.
I've got priorities. I've got to bring beverages, food, and cigars. That's and my car. Have you seen my car?
I heard you.
That's all it's going to fit in there.
Hose. That's all I heard. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. That's the little Fiat 500. That's all that's going in that car.
Yep. That's fine. That's all you need.
I know.
So
yeah, no, I got the.
Let's see. I'm looking at the. Oh, I cut you off. You were still talking. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was talking. I got I've got the Streamlight TLR8 sub that I should be finishing up the review. Hopefully, we can get that done this week before we head up, and then the Phoenix Weaponry handguard and the Evolve 15 from 5150. I got to shoot that the other day. You saw that slow motion where it hit the freaking. I am. Yeah, I'll bring that with me. I'll probably bring both of them. I'll bring the. What's that?
I found a video from SHOT Show Range Day where my gimbal camera lens got broken by brass coming out of one of the Maxim.
I was so close. It hit and it like I felt the boom. I was like, oh Jesus. And then the next one the next one went over and the next one hit the phone again. I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm shutting this off. I was like, I'm gonna pull Jeff and look, I'll see, you'll just see the cracks everywhere. Like, oh
yeah, that was unfortunate.
Which would be a cool video, but I won't have to get a new phone.
Yeah. So
pricey.
I have not seen any more questions come in about Right to Bear. So Scott, I'm going to give you the virtual high five. You did an awesome job describing it because no one had any more questions. You covered everything. Yeah. That's awesome. Good job.
It was thorough. I was trying to think of questions. I'm like, I don't know, he answered everything I had to ask. So
yeah. Yep.
Thank you for having me tonight. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Pleasure to have you here. And hopefully if you do make it to the gathering, we can get together and hang out. And
absolutely.
You know what? It's always fun to be on the program and talk business and everything. But we enjoy getting together with people and hanging out as well.
Yeah.
So if it works out, great. If not, I'm sure we'll catch up with you at some point. I'd like to thank everyone on the panel for being here. Y'all made my day. It's been a bit of a trying day with a lot of miles going under the Prius today. Yeah, because I'm not driving the Humvee on a trip like this. That's the whole
$10 in gas you spent today.
It was like $12.72 actually, but thanks for asking. So yeah, and that would have been $257 in a Humvee. So I'm just saying.
Oh, geez, easy.
So
easy.
Yeah. So thanks for everyone being here. You made my evening. I really appreciate everyone who interacted with us in the comments as well. We appreciate the audience. That's the reason we're here doing this. So thanks again. With that, we're going to shut them down. Scott, what we do here, no pressure, okay? Because I pressured someone before and I got told off. So I'm going to tell you what we do.
You did.
You choose if you want to participate or not, okay? We say, until next time, we'll see at the range. And we point, we try to point the finger right at the camera lens, right? And then while we're doing that, I'm trying to find the button to shut the broadcast down, okay? If you want to point at the camera, you're welcome to. If you don't, that's fine. You can do something else if you like. You can be creative, or you can do what we do, whatever. So until next time, we'll see you at the range.
There we go.
Get to it.